Microphone's my microphone's not even on. Yours is on.
I was prepared.
Welcome back to Window to the Soul podcast, where we like to step into other people's shoes and find out just a little bit of what they went through about their lives and such. I apologize in advance. The person you're hearing today has very little podcast experience. Might get a little awkward, might get a little shaky through here, but my guest also has minimal podcast experience. That's right. I was talking about me, myself, and I, all three of them. Today's guest is someone very special. I've known her all my life. She's known me most of hers. That's right. That makes us siblings. My guest today is... Hang on, let me check the notes, make sure all the data is right. Yep, West, that's right. Well, welcome back. My guest today is Alexa West. Sorry, I had to check
Yes, Alexa girl.
some previous notes, make sure the air was cleared on some things. So,
hi, I'm Alexa West. Nice to meet you.
Alexa West, my sister.
That's Miss
Alexa West, not Mrs. Don't get it twisted, none of you. So I would like to start by telling the listeners, however few they might be, that growing up with Alexa was very stressful, I would say. We're gonna start at the beginning ish and work our way back through. I remember a few times being scared for my life.
I don't remember it being stressful.
Of course you don't.
I had a great childhood.
Of course you did. Favorite child. But anyway, so we grew up racing, riding, practicing, participating, getting participation trophies. That was my leg of the trip in motocross. Now, a reason that my life growing up was so stressful is because I knew I'd never be as good at motocross as you were.
Oh, please.
And so that slowly began to turn into you basically, I would almost call it going pro, right? You raced with...
I think of it like that in my mind.
Right. You raced with enough pros. Speaking of which, this is what I was talking about. Some pros that you had raced against didn't like the fact that they were being shit on social media because they were...
Are you talking about person A?
Huh?
Are you talking about person A?
Person A?
And person A's boyfriend?
Yes.
Arguing with a 12-year-old?
Yes, I am. So
about that time that Carter pissed off a professional women's motocross racer on Instagram.
To defend my sister's honor.
In defense of his sister.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? Because I remember my side of things, but we could get into that in a little bit.
I don't even remember exactly what the argument was about, except that it had something to do with pros racing in the amateur national, which is a touchy subject. I've learned,
Well, I mean, pros and amateurs.
I'm not like in that anymore, so I don't know how things are now. But at the time, especially when they changed those rules, it was a touchy subject, and we were racing at, I think, one of the qualifiers for this amateur national, and person A. Person A.
Go ahead and drop the name.
Who shall not be named.
First and last. First? You can do the first. So we don't have to call her person A.
This girl, Jessica,
so her name was totally Jessica.
was there, and my dad specifically got real heated about this, and that just kind of trickled down into the rest of the fam group getting heated. I was heated at the time. I don't even remember why.
It was justified.
I don't know why I ever cared. But anyways.
Looking back on it now, no, it doesn't really matter that much at all.
To be fair, that was my entire life.
Yeah.
And my life's goal was to become pro. And anyways, long story short.
First of all, I hope you know that was my entire life too, because of you, I got drug all over around the East Coast.
Yes.
Oh, well, Friday's rolled around again.
The women's pro thing kind of got dissolved.
Yeah, it was a bad time for
it was
that.
it was
You were kind of coming in
a sad time. Yeah, it was
at
a
the
sad
same
time.
time it was
it
going
got dissolved
out.
right as I was about to try to go pro. But anyways, yeah, no, somehow some kind of argument started. I want to say you commented on a post that she made or something.
I think she made a post.
How old were you? You'd have been like.
I must have been.
You'd have
14,
been like 12 or
15.
12 to 14.
Young teen.
Yeah, yeah.
Young teen out here gunning in the streets. You know what I mean?
Right in the middle of his hot-headedness.
Yeah. Nope. Not the middle.
Oh, well.
That was the beginning.
That
was the beginning.
Yeah. No, I think I want to say you just commented on something that she posted from that day and said something probably to the effect of like, I don't know, like, yeah, no wonder you won against a bunch of amateurs, you pro or something like that. And then all I remember is, I don't even remember if she actually responded.
She did.
She might have, yeah. I remember
she did.
It was her and her mans.
Whoever the fuck that was.
Just going at you. And it's just little Carter, and little 13-year-old Carter on his, iPod Touch that you got from the Wi-Fi up in the sign-up building.
I was using my mom's mobile hotspot to fucking talk shit on this girl. Who, honestly, I was a little bit heated at the time because I think she'd posted something about, oh yeah, got this win at this race or whatever,
that's what it
blah,
was.
blah, blah. And keep in mind, this broad had won championships, professional championships. She's beaten out, she's beaten out Ashley Filek. There you go. You probably know, if you can do some Googling, you know who she is now.
Deaf girl, pink hair, my idol.
Yep.
Read her book 7 times.
Yeah, she was great. I still remember The Obsession. I remember chasing her down, and I think we were yelling her name, even though she cannot hear us. And we wanted to show her the poster you made. I still remember all those. I think that might have actually been, was that Steel City? No, High Point.
High Point was the poster, yeah.
High Point was the poster, and I believe that was the same exact weekend that I got almost like raped, molested,
yes,
like
100%.
touched on by the clown lady.
Yes.
I don't know
was that a man or a lady?
I don't know. And thinking back on it now, thinking back on the picture, that might have just been somebody enjoying their day. And I was like, can I get a picture with you? Like it was some sort of fucking sideshow attraction.
Do you remember the picture?
I do.
Specifically?
I kind of do. I didn't know if she was...
They didn't dress like that on purpose.
They. Let's use they. I don't know what it is. I used the
proper pronoun. I said they.
I don't know what they got.
No, man.
That was a good time. I can't believe you got me to take that picture.
Oh, it's a treasure.
Little anxious me, dude.
It's one of the classics. Yeah, I don't have any idea how I got you to take that picture either, but no. I remember watching Ashley Filek break her collarbone.
Oof.
Like snap that bitch.
That was a bad time.
And continue to race.
She finished the race, didn't she?
Picked her bike up, restarted her bike, finished the whole race, and won the championship that day.
That's badass,
That's
man.
worthy of being obsessed over, okay?
That's badass. Yeah, it is. It is. Hey, listen, you're talking to a Cincinnati Bengals fan, so you know my obsessions. You were there.
There for every tier.
Which, yeah, I try my best not to jump out of order here, but it means a lot to me that you. I don't know if did your shift that day just change or did you get it changed?
No, it just magically per universe changed somehow.
That's even cooler.
I looked at it one week and I was not able to make it, and I looked at it the next week and all of a sudden I was going to be there.
Yeah. I mean, that's sick.
I like to think I manifested it, but I didn't.
The thing is like, I know to most people that shit's just football, you know? It's just a game that's played on TV, but like having that many people there, like cheering for my team, like to, you know, sorry, Jackson. Fuck you, though, for winning that shit. But,
we're talking about the Super Bowl, by the way.
Yeah, we clearly needed all the help we could get.
There would have been more for Jackson's team if Jackson had been there.
I think you guys might have felt a little bit bad for wearing so much Bengals stuff, but hey, man.
Hey,
how's Vermont?
No one offered any... No one offered any Rams jerseys.
Yeah.
I'd have wore one under the Bengals one.
I'm pretty sure he just has like one old Rams jersey from like back in the day, but I bet he was fucking wearing it Sunday. But no, motocross, which led me to eventually, retire from my unbelievably successful career. I think I was about 2 or 3 time county fair champion on the old 110.
I have one. My favorite memory of motocross involves motocross.
Shocker.
Do you remember? Let me set the stage here real quick. This will be a quick story, I promise.
Okay.
Do you remember Action Town? Foggy morning, freshly tilled track.
I do, and I'm scared of where this might go.
Do you remember the GoPro video that I happen to be speaking? Okay, real quick. I will not drag this out.
Oh, I do. That's not what I thought you were talking about, though.
Carter gets blessed with the first practice of the day, which always happens to be on a very freshly watered.
I don't think it was first practice because. Go ahead.
It might have been just a very muddy. I don't remember. There was mud.
There were ruts.
Chunks. No, it was the chunks. It was a freshly tilled, chunky, wet track.
Did I get taken out by the chunks, man?
The chunks.
I thought it was
big
ruts.
old globs. No, I'm pretty sure because it was real early in the morning. I chose to only focus on a small portion of this video. Somewhere along the lines, Carter wrecks. And the bike.
I wrecked in a straightaway, by the way.
Yeah, we don't know how. I think he got hung up on the chunks, but. Anyways, this bike pinned Carter down somewhere. I don't remember if it was like his legs or his back. Anyways, he couldn't get up, or he felt like he couldn't get up.
I felt like it. I definitely could have.
And so, start this off with, he's wearing one of the GoPro cameras on his helmet. So he's recording this entire practice session. And there's audio, there's footage, whatever. So we're rewatching this GoPro to see Carter's wreck, and you just see him crash, whatever. You see him like laying there, like kind of like, you get the wind knocked out of you. Okay,
I think it went down on my face.
Yeah, you get the wind knocked out of you. It hurts. It's scary. It's not a good time. So Carter waves down this flagger, and all you hear in the video is just help, help, help. Until this poor young unpaid volunteer flagger comes over to lift the bike off of one boot of Carter as he then limps his way out of the practice. And man, we had to have replayed that one little clip from that video 1,000 times, just relentlessly roasting him for help, help, help.
Help me. I've fallen.
I had to get that out before we moved on off this topic, because it's one of my favorites.
Before we move on, I'm going to tell you what I thought you were going to tell me, and was when I lost the race to, I think his name was Brandon. You remember that kid? Little kid that always
really.
talks shit, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm going to beat you" or whatever, and then I would always beat him because he was really bad. Not that I was good. He was just, exceptionally terrible. So this guy behind me, he was in the lead, and he was, buku's better than everyone else on the track. Mm-hmm. So he was coming up to lap me for like the 20th time, I think, that race. And so he came around behind me, and I hadn't seen him because obviously he's behind me. I don't have mirrors. I can't tell. And I come around the corner, and I could swear that the flagger is waving the checkered flag. So I hop off the little jump there, and I pull off the track. And then all of a sudden, my entire family comes rushing to the rushing to the camper, and they're like, "You pulled off on the white flag. You had one lap left." And I was like, "What? Is it too late?" And, the other race had already started, so I was like, "Fuck."
Damn.
And I just remember dude, I was so fucking depressed about that shit. I was just sitting in the camper, just being like, I fucking lost. I lost because I fucking made a stupid mistake.
They'll get you with that. It's because if the other guy was right behind you, it's because they're literally like getting ready to wave it for him. Yeah.
So that's what I thought he was doing.
I see the mistake. I've done that. I've actually done that several times.
But he had that checkered swooping in from the back,
Yeah.
So it fucked me up. Speaking of favorite memories, I have a couple favorite memories with Thoust. First of all, this isn't going to make sense to hardly anybody but me, but there's a really good song called San Luis by Gregory Alan Isakov. And I've loved that song since probably 2 or 3 years now. It's just a really great song. Listen to it if you haven't heard it. But
Very mellow.
it's about a city that I'm not even sure if you're aware of that we traveled through.
Yeah. Yeah, you specifically played it.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
you know.
Then I went without you
Weed
and
brain.
also specifically played it.
But yeah, I think definitely one of my favorite memories from my entire life was just getting to drive through that city because of you. I was like, holy shit. Because I remember looking on the GPS because we were going up the coast to San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I think I was listening to that song or something. I had done some research because I wanted to know where it was.
Yeah.
And then I found out it was in California. And like, I remember looking at the GPS and it was like 2 cities up from where we were. And I was like, holy shit, like I'm going to get to see this place that this song's about. Like, that's insane.
So you loved the song before
Yeah.
you ever went out there?
Yeah.
Damn.
I didn't even know it was a place. I just found the song and I was like, this song is fucking sick.
Wow.
And then going through, all that.
Yeah.
But we should back up a little bit to some other favorite memories, which was the start of that whole trip, which would have been after our dear sweet grandmother passed away. We were all meeting up at her house to, help mom clean out stuff and put stuff in boxes and whatnot. Very sad time to be there,
Yeah.
And I remember I was going through a little bit of a breakup, not a huge thing, but I remember I was sitting in my grandparents' house and I was the first one there, so I just went in and I was sitting there by myself and I was just sobbing. I was a fucking mess. Like it was so much at once, and I was like, I don't think I can do this, man. Like I don't think this shit is too hard. And I remember you were the second one there. You were the first one to come in when I was there. And you gave me the biggest hug, told me you loved me. And then you were like, sat there for maybe 5 minutes. And you were like, hey, you want to come to California with me in October? And I was like, yes. I just looked around. I was like, of course. But that was one of those moments in my life where it definitely took everything that I had and I had known, and it was just basically flipped it upside down and was like, watch this.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy how things like that can change so fast,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I would have gotten you out there with me had you not gone through what you had just gone through and
I wouldn't have
been in that state of mind.
I'd have been like, oh, I'm too busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the first trip, I think you can agree, was chef's kiss. It was.
Yeah, not a bad thing happened on it.
We had to replace your tire.
Well, in hindsight, that wasn't bad.
No. So in October, we went out and we went to California. We drove across the country.
Overnight, I think.
Pretty much overnight. I think we
drove from here to Texas straight through and then slept. We sleep it in Texas.
We sleep it in Texas
for one night. I remember playing the song Amarillo.
Yep, I have a story of it.
I think in the morning we left, and the sun was coming up. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we drove from there straight to
the GC, the Grand Can.
Yeah, from there we left, and then we camped that night. Remember?
We camped.
Saw the buffalo in the morning.
Yep. Saw the buffalo, bud.
We went to the very less populated north rim of the Grand Canyon instead of the south rim, which is the part that comes up from I-40, whatever the interstate that runs all the way along the bottom of the country is. The one directly up from that is the south rim, so it's the most traveled and gets all of the, hundreds of thousands of visitors. But we went through one of the, I think, don't quote me on this because I'm not sure and I've never looked it up, but we drove through an Indian reservation, and I want to say,
I think I remember that.
It might be the same one that Mike Posner walked through that he was talking about, because he walked through that area. Anyways, we should look that up later.
We should.
But yeah, we went like this long way. Remember, we stopped, and I insisted that we stop and eat real Mexican food.
Yeah.
Because
in
I was
New
like,
Mexico.
because I was like, we're in this like literally we're in like.
Yeah, I remember
if
that.
there's gonna be real Mexican food, it is gonna be down here. Yeah,
Because I remember because we were in New Mexico.
Yeah, it was like a random place. Yeah,
it looked like a house on the corner of a street,
yeah,
and we walked in. And it was
so,
like a full
Mexican
Mexican
restaurant. I was so anxious
restaurant.
to go inside because I was like, what if this is not the restaurant?
Yeah, we knock on the door. It's just a family
it's a
in there.
Mexican restaurant, and they're just literally and they're just cooking food for people. Like
I remember.
That's what I wanted. I wanted like legitimate.
You sit down in the living room on a couch.
Yeah, I wanted to feel authentic. I can't cook. Anyways, from there we went like way up, basically the back way into the Grand Canyon, just because I'd done like all of this like weird research on where to go, and it was like honestly, it's the only time. It's not actually. I saw it once before on my solo trip by myself, and I went to the south part that I said was, and there was just tons of people, and you're staying at the same, viewpoints that everyone else is. No, the place that we went was like, I don't even know how to describe it, man.
I do. It was perfect because I got to smoke a joint while sitting there in like 8 o'clock in the morning looking at the Grand Canyon.
We climbed out. It was pretty windy, I think. It was either windy or cold. It was
really windy.
Yeah, we kind of sketchily climbed out on that little ledge overlook, and we just sat.
Yeah.
Just sat and just gazed out at this massive canyon in the earth, and it was.
That was probably one of the coolest moments of my life for sure, because that was when it really sank in that holy fuck, I'm not like at home anymore.
Yeah, that was
like,
the first.
I'm not
big
just like
thing
on
we
the
saw.
interstate.
Yeah,
you know,
it really set the trip off, right?
I'm telling you what, since I've been like 15, 16, I started playing the game Grand Theft Auto, and ever since I started playing that game, I've just always wanted to go to LA. Always wanted to go to LA. I've always wanted to see the pier. I've always wanted to see like all that stuff. And so when you were like, you want to go to California with me? I was like, can we go to LA? Like, can we see this shit? And it was such a good trip. But the reason I bring that trip up is because within the calendar year, we also made another trip out, which was just a skosh more entertaining, I'd say, than the first.
Yeah.
Entertaining, I mean, for the people listening. You don't get to know all of it.
Oh, it was entertaining for sure.
It was one of those.
We weren't bored. except for the 5 hours that we'll get to later, but
so what they did was Alexa had drove out in her van that she just bought. Now, this van was fucking sweet.
I built a camper van.
You spent
I bought
money, time, sweat. Yeah. You made Instagram reels about it. That's how you know it's serious. It was a beaut. Still is. Spoiler alert. I should cut that. I shouldn't.
She's an old girl, but
she took the van out, and you drove across the country.
I did a whole trip. Yeah, I went all the way around.
And then
up north, down.
I'd say maybe a week.
I drove that. It was 2 weeks. It was from when I left to when we got you was about a week and a half.
They bought me at a fucking gift store.
I drove that thing. I just cruised that thing all the way down Highway 1 down the coast.
Yeah.
Just slowly. Just meander. What are
you going to do?
I budgeted my time to where I did the first half ended up on the all the way on the West Coast with a week to spare. So I had a whole week to get from Washington down to LA. Because I wanted to just,
right.
I got this van for this reason.
Right.
And yeah, so I slowly just meandered my way. It was a Wednesday.
So, what was it? It was probably about a week after you left is when I left. Week or so?
About a week and a half.
I remember a few days before you came up to me and you were like, or you came over here and we were squaring away things for my endeavors.
The deets.
And you were like, yeah, like fist bump, see you in LA. Mm-hmm. So what I was doing was a week, later, because I think I only took 2 or 3 days off work because that's all I had, but I couldn't go with you the whole time.
Yeah.
But what I did was I fucking flew across the country to LA, one-way ticket, because I had a ride home. I had the fucking A-team coming to get me in the van. But I've never flown before, and honestly, I can say not that bad, really. I've always loved planes. Like, I love planes. I love, like, watching them fly and shit. It amazes me. But I didn't think I'd ever want to be on one because it's always, like, the anxiety of, like, not knowing what's going to happen, being out of control and shit, which I think I called you on my layover. I had, like, a 3-hour layover in Denver. And I remember just wandering the fucking airport just aimlessly, just, like, looking for shit. And I remember going to the McDonald's there, getting a 10-piece chicken nugget
for $10.
For I think it was like 50,000 maybe. It was expensive. But I was just sitting there eating it by myself in this airport, and I was like, yo, what am I fucking doing right now? Like, where I'm in fucking Denver,
moments.
Colorado, like in a McDonald's in the airport. Like, I'm miles, days away from anyone that could fucking help me if I was in trouble right now.
You just suddenly become like aware of how tiny you are in this massive world.
You're like
I could be anywhere in the world right now, and I'm sitting in an airport in Denver, Colorado, in the middle of the country eating chicken nuggets
by myself.
While
people like sweep around me and shit. Yeah, it was crazy. But so I flew from Denver then to LA and met up with you guys at LAX.
Which it's a hell of an airport to fly into for your first time.
Dude.
I couldn't figure it out.
It's my favorite airport. Like it's like so iconic that like when I got there, I couldn't even hardly believe I was there. Because like I said, this is weird for me growing up because like I've been playing this game that resembles like Los Angeles, like LAX, everything about it for so long that I'm literally like, I kind of know how to get through here. Like I'm sitting there looking for like the ramps and shit and like the car flying down the road and whatnot. I'm like, kind of know where I'm at right now.
The strippers at the bottom trying to pick people up.
The fucking prostitutes waiting at the bottom. Hey, honey. But I think I was bad luck on that trip.
Nah.
Because
it started before you came.
Or should you say it didn't? The van?
No, even before. Way back up in Washington.
That's when it started, wasn't it?
We locked the keys in the van.
Oh,
had to bust the window in through the side. It's still taped up.
Yeah, I noticed that the other day when I saw it. I was like, did you guys break that? And he was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, locked the keys in it. And then, which technically is not really bad luck because we have no control over it, but we just got, like, shitty weather. Almost the entire coast was just cloudy and rainy.
Really?
Yeah. It was... Especially Oregon, I was so stoked to drive down like the Oregon coast because they've got these massive rocks like out in the water. It's so pretty, and I've seen them. I've seen these like pictures of like Oregon coast, and nobody ever tags where the stuff is because they don't want the stuff to get just
bombarded with tourists.
And I did so much research and finally found the exact spot that these like iconic pictures that I love are from, and was gonna like walk down and like take my own pictures and stuff like that, and it was just like rainy and drizzly, and just looking back now, I'd have just hiked through the mud anyways and taken the damn picture.
I've seen some of the pictures you took. Yeah. They were fucking sweet.
Yeah. I don't know. I was a different person then. When I left on that trip, I was a different person than I am now. Honestly, a different person than when I came back from that trip. But I wasn't able to fully appreciate where now I'm like, I will be stoked to be on the coast of Oregon if it's raining. I don't give a fuck if it's raining. It's raining here right now.
Exactly. It rains everywhere.
Yeah.
Especially in Oregon and Washington.
It doesn't mean I
like
can't see these great views, but and then the van wouldn't start, and I thought we were gonna not be able to. It was the day that we were supposed to come get you, and the van wouldn't start.
Yeah.
And we got that problem fixed. It picked you up. I made a cool. I literally...
And keep in mind, I don't know any of this because I've been traveling all day.
I literally asked someone at the grocery store that we bought like our latest supplies from if I could have one of the cardboard boxes they had so that I could take the cardboard and make a handwritten Carter sign to be welcoming Carter in from the airport. And I got confused on the airline that you were flying one. I thought it was like Delta, but it was actually like Spirit or something like that.
Yeah, I can afford Delta.
And they go to, each airline has its own
terminal-ish
spot.
area,
Yeah, and I went to the wrong one and was just waiting and waiting, and you never came.
Did you have the sign?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm pissed about that. Like,
Yeah,
not
I
at you,
did.
but like I'm sad that you were waiting and I was in the
real
wrong
pissed.
spot.
Yeah. So.
That's so funny though. You're like, Carter, your van has arrived, sir.
But either way, we got you. We didn't get to fix the AC, which we thought we would have. So we were like kind of going into it, be like, oh well, sorry, it's gonna be really hot.
Oh boy, was it?
We still got that night. We still got to drive up. We drove up Mulholland Drive again.
Yeah.
And checked out the city.
Yeah.
Didn't have very long up there, but we got to like just laying eyes on that city lit up at night will change you as a person. I feel genuinely
agree.
feel bad for the people that live there and are just used to that.
Yeah. I see, that's the thing I always said is I want to move to Los Angeles. I want to move to California. And then I visited California and I went, I want to visit California more.
Yeah.
Not live there.
Yeah.
Because I grew up and I found out about like the government and like politics and shit. And I was like, yeah, California is not a place for me. But I will say this. California is really cool in the sense that one of the moments that'll change my life in that city is getting picked up from the airport, and within maybe 2 or 3 minutes, I was already smoking a joint in the back of your van. You guys are like, all right, let's get out of here. Here you go.
Oh yeah, we pre-had that thing rolled up for you. Did you just break the ultimate Dorito?
I broke the chip.
Jordan.
I broke it.
Oops.
Cleaved in half. Anyway.
Now you each have one.
Huh?
Now you each have one. Yeah, we had them things pre-rolled.
Yeah.
We were
I'm
rolling
glad.
We were rolling in that, being like, you know what, Carter's had a long day traveling. He hasn't been able, he obviously can't bring any weed with him. He's not gonna be high. He's gonna be, we were already probably, honestly, that might have been why I couldn't find you. We were probably both a little baked. And we were like, I remember because we were like, you got to get on our level. Come on, let's go. Smoke this boy. Let's go.
We're in LA right now.
We were driving in LA in this cool van where you get to just chill in the bed in the back.
How it was so nice. It was so nice.
Wasn't good to be back there without the AC driving through the desert, but
no, it wasn't, or not driving.
Yeah, we went up to Mulholland Drive, got to see the lights, and then went down and just found some random spot right by the ocean on the coast. And
that shit was actually fucking sweet because
the sleeping accommodations were shitty for you.
For me.
For you.
I was like, didn't you guys both have a bed?
We didn't think that through.
It spins around, doesn't it? Your front seat.
Yeah.
So I was facing back. But yeah, I slept in the passenger seat of the van.
It stretched out. It extended.
But I woke up. It was way more stretched out than the flight fucking seats were for sure.
That's Spirit for you.
Yeah. It's not fun being 6'4" on a plane in the middle seat. You're like, I don't pee.
Yeah.
I have not yet peed on a plane or anything like that because like I'm just like, if I feel like if I get out of my seat right now, somebody's gonna shoot me because they're gonna,
Yeah.
I was just so anxious.
Well, there's
and
no
nervous.
like church seat, like pulling your legs back.
Right.
You have to. The other person literally has to stand up.
You literally have to like.
And I'm like,
I can't.
I can't inconvenience you like that. I'm so sorry to inconvenience you.
Oh yeah, shout out.
Sorry to inconvenience you, Carter and Jordan.
Shout out our pod.
Yeah.
Go listen if you haven't already. But so we woke up that morning in the van. And I looked out the window, and there was just like a bunch of dudes just out surfing. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, dude.
Like just what you expect to see.
I was like, you don't see this shit in the fucking mountains. You know? Like.
Why?
What do you mean?
Anyways.
Surfing that fucking.
Tree line.
River? I don't know.
Go ahead.
So after waking up, we spent most of that morning in LA, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we took off and we headed to Vegas.
Yeah, the plan was to get there like late afternoon, probably 4-ish. I think we might have been like, yeah, let's take a nap, or we were just gonna shower up and then get ready for like a night. We were literally gonna just do a night on the town.
Oh, Vegas. We were just gonna thrash Vegas.
It's gonna be Vegas round 2.
Still did. Oh yeah. Forgot to mention that first trip out, we also went to Vegas.
Yeah.
in between the canyon and LA, which was fucking crazy.
I don't like to go to like keep going to the same places because I want to see new places, but
Vegas is like a must.
LA and Vegas are like, you gotta always go back.
Yeah.
You always gotta go back.
Because you go back and you're like, holy shit, like, yeah, this is familiar now.
Anyways, yeah, but we were on the way to Vegas, making our way. I think we were getting close to the edge of the California, Nevada line. We did not fix the AC, so it was very hot. We're in June at this point.
Late June. Almost July.
Yeah, it was late June. We were coming up kind of right alongside, parallel to like the Death Valley area. It was real hot. We basically just rode with the windows down, and you just had this like hot air. What am I trying to say?
As a quote
hot
from
air
gusts, wind.
No, the blow dryer for your hair.
Hair dryer?
Yeah, hair dryer. That's what it felt like, was just blowing on your skin with these windows down.
It was like a space heater.
and the third person, which was me, I think for most of the time, had to sit in the bed in the back where there was no windows. So you didn't even have that like hot air like moving the wind. It was
we should have just busted the back glass
just
out.
laid back there and just sweated. Yeah. Y'all had your shirts off. It was just
hot.
It was very hot. But we were just vibing. We were making the best of it. Like we had plenty of water.
Living for the bridge shadows.
We were literally we were surviving. We had our water. We were fine.
Our spirits were super high because we were about to just tear it up in Vegas.
Yeah, we were making it through this hot. Like we're gonna take a nice cold shower.
It's like, 4 hours.
Yeah.
Something that trip. It's not.
I think it was
long.
4 hours from LA to Vegas.
Not long at all.
Yeah, we were about halfway through it, I think. Maybe 2/3 of the way, something like that. And I was in the back, and then there was a weird noise, like almost sounded like we blew a tire or something.
Yeah.
And the van started like kind of shaking real bad. We thought we had blown a tire, so we pulled off the exit, got out. Like all of us got out. We were looking at everything, could not see anything wrong with these tires. And so then I got back. I started driving because I was like, man, this thing's about to break. Like.
If it's about to break,
I want to be the one that takes it down, captain of the ship type thing.
Yeah.
But, so I got back in it and just like real slowly pulled away, and like everything seemed fine. I was like, I talked myself into the fact that I was like, we probably just hit something on the road and like clanked up like under the,
Yeah.
It seemed fine. Everything seemed fine. I think we drove for another like maybe 30 minutes. It was a little while.
It was a little bit.
And I let my guard down a lot and got back up to interstate speed. And I remember we were going. Sorry, did you want to tell the story? Or did you want me to tell?
No. You tell us.
Okay,
your van.
okay. So we're kind of like cruising down this gradual hill around this curve, and same thing happens again. It makes this big loud like pop, something, whatever, and starts shaking real bad. And then I like lost the brakes. I lost the ability to steer unless I was wrestling this thing. That was really scary.
Yeah.
I got it stopped by I was feathering the e-brake because I didn't want to rip the e-brake out by trying to stop it. I was just slowing it down with that, and then I was riding the rumble strip and trying to just get, and I eventually got off over down off the side of the shoulder and got the thing stopped, and we got out, and there was clearly a problem with the front wheel. I don't think we could tell. I don't know if we knew exactly.
I don't think we did. It was still.
It ended up we blew a wheel bearing, and I don't know how that wheel did not fall off, because long story short, it did.
It did when we did. Got it. Yep.
Yeah. So we called a tow truck. Called a tow truck, and ended up this tow truck took 5 hours to get to us. I think we stopped off the side of the road around 2 p.m. The tow truck showed up at 7.
Hottest part of the day.
And granted, this is right beside Death Valley in Nevada in June. From 2 to 7 p.m. It was real fucking hot. The highest temperature we saw was 120.
120.
120.
It's permanently burned into my mind.
That's real fucking hot if you didn't know. Blessedly, it's a dry heat, so.
It's a nice view.
It was tractor trailers going by, so that's something. Yeah, no, we made the best of it. We definitely made the best of it. We were chilling. We were a little worried about the dog. She was getting a little hot. All of us were hot, but none of us got critical.
I don't know about you, but I felt pretty critical in that situation.
Well,
I felt like I literally was like texting people being like, hey man, if I don't make it back, like remember me.
I don't know. We were suffering in just like the surface level aspect. Like we were really hot. Definitely started to get a little bit like lethargic, showing the signs of like heat stroke. But that's honestly that's to be expected. You know, we had plenty of water. If we didn't have much water, if we were like about to
luckily
have to fill up with
we
it,
had just picked up water.
That would have been that would have been a lot. We had ice in our cooler and stuff. You know, we probably would have been in trouble if we didn't have any water, because we drank through most of that.
Yeah,
sitting there.
Yeah, I remember taking ice cubes and trying to cool the dog off with with the ice cubes.
Not even how that works, but
I know, but I was like, it's cold.
But the tow truck driver. Honestly, shout out to that tow truck driver.
What a G.
That guy, like, you know, we were a little annoyed. We were a little testy. After sitting out in the heat that long.
A bit ticked off, you could say.
I don't think it was his fault that it took that long. I don't think it was his fault. This was a cool guy. He stopped and got us water. Didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
You know, he was trying to vibe with us. Like, he was just out there working, you know. It's not his fault that we got stranded, but.
Yeah. Plus, I think if you listen to Jordan and I's podcast, Sorry to Inconvenience You, I have made him one of my persons of the week, I think.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And it was because I couldn't imagine, like, I can't imagine, like, getting a job and being like, yeah, you've got to go drive these people to Vegas because their car broke down.
Yeah.
And what did you drive us, like, 2 hours? You drove us, like, an hour,
an hour, I think.
I fell asleep.
We weren't that far from Vegas. They towed us there because they would tow us to a Ford dealership for free. Tow me, too.
Plus, we were going to Vegas anyway.
Yeah,
so
we were going to Vegas. There was just nothing else around there because it's
Vegas.
It's fucking the desert. Yeah, there's nothing out there. So, and also I was like, if we've got any chance of fixing this van, it's going to be at a Ford dealership. So they took us there. Yeah, we had to Uber, that's a whole story in itself.
Dude, Ubers are just.
It was the first time I've ever Ubered.
Me too.
Mom and Dad sent me some money. They felt bad for us. They sent me some money to help with this Uber, you know, just kind of like take some stress off, you know.
Yeah.
So we Ubered. It was this wildly energetic lady that, I don't know, she was telling us about some kind of like underground club underneath the Pyramid Hotel. What's that hotel called?
No, it was the Mandalay Bay. It was the Mandalay Bay. It had like some sort of like secret like executive suite or some shit like
underneath it.
Yeah, like club party that like.
Yeah, if that comes out, you heard it here first.
Yeah. If anybody's down there fucking kids or whatever, you know, whatever you do in an executive club.
Whatever the elites do for fun.
Yeah, drink baby's blood and whatnot, you know. Fucking take our money.
Hey, take off that tinfoil hat there. No,
they're turning the frogs gay.
What?
It's Alex Jones.
Oh, we got So we ended up, end result was the same. It took a really long time. We were exhausted at this point probably from the heat, honestly.
I passed out on the way to Vegas.
Mm-hmm, yeah. From the heat, we still rallied.
Oh yeah.
We took our showers, we rallied. We were like, you know what? We made it to Vegas still. Yeah, some bad stuff happened and we still have to deal with this tomorrow and it's going to be stressful, but we can't spend this night in Vegas being upset about that.
Right.
We're still going to go out and party. Yeah, we had a good time. I don't remember a lot of it. I was pretty high.
You got some very good videos from it.
Yeah.
Some good vibes.
Yeah.
Some good vibes no matter what the circumstances.
Remember the drunk guy we thought was dead?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember the dead guy I thought was drunk. Because I remember I took a video. I was like, oh, dude, look at this guy. He's fucking passed out on the stairs. What a loser. Can't hang.
That dude that we thought was going to, like, jump us because he was just acting super sketchy.
Oh, yeah.
I forget what he was saying. But
he was yelling the N-word like as loud as he could.
That's right, yeah.
And I was like, Alexa, can I go beat his ass? And you're like, no, don't fuck with him. And I was like, can I go? I kind of want to go beat his ass. And you're like, no, he's a crackhead. Don't fuck with him. He can beat you. And then I remember seeing him later.
Got some superhuman strength.
I don't doubt it. Looking back on me now, probably wouldn't. I'd be like, hey man, just stop.
Excuse me, can you please stop saying that word?
Um,
You're offending me and my whiteness.
well, the thing is I saw him later outside the MGM. Same fucking dude, and he was sitting at the bus stop with just like a bunch of just big fucking just beefy black guys. And they were all sitting there and he was quiet as a fucking clam. He wasn't saying a goddamn word, dude. He was like, just waiting for my bus. How are you fellows doing this morning?
You walk past me like, hey, weren't you that little bitch yelling the N-word earlier?
Oh yeah, I got a video of it. Here it is.
Man, hey, you guys, man, you should have heard what he was saying about y'all behind your back. Like,
he was saying shit. He was saying all sorts. He wanted to enslave you guys. I don't know, man. He was doing
something about hanging you from a tree or something. Like,
just get this guy jumped outside the fucking MGM.
I wanted to beat his ass, but she wouldn't let me.
Yeah, she had crackhead strength, and then he like gets angry, and then they just all beat his ass.
But yeah, no, that was a good night. I remember like just splurging on like $50 worth of B-dubs, and I was like, I'm buying everyone dinner.
Oh, dude, B-dubs, yeah. Which is insane because if I were in that situation that you were in at the time, I would have been like, yeah, you guys can get your own fucking food. I got my own problems. I'm not even buying dinner tonight.
I honestly felt really bad that you guys had to suffer through that with me, being it was my decision to take a van halfway, or not halfway, all the way across the country. It made it halfway.
I mean, it made it halfway through the trip.
Well, in hindsight, I learned an insurmountable amount of lessons from that trip and the way that it ended.
Me too.
And one of them, which is less practical because it'll probably never come up again, one of them is never to take a vehicle that you've only driven 50 miles, close to 3,000 or 4,000 across the country.
What could go wrong?
I'll tell you exactly what could go wrong. The wheel bearing could blow out as you're going down the interstate, and it could damn near cause the wheel to fall off, potentially killing you and your closest buddies and a dog. And if that doesn't happen, the better case scenario is you just get stuck in the boiling heat on the side of the interstate for about 5 hours. So all of that could go wrong. It doesn't mean it will.
Right.
But just for the possibility, I would just not advise taking this van.
Yeah, just for future reference for anybody who's thinking about driving.
Drive your vehicles a little bit before you take them.
Yeah. Maybe get them inspected by somebody worth a fuck.
Shout out to...
because if you go and get your vehicle inspected, it probably should be able to make a trip, I don't know if a trip that long necessarily.
All I have to say is the next time that I get any vehicle of mine ever inspected, I'm going to specifically tell them as I drop it off to be inspected, hey, check the wheel bearings. Make sure they're greased and lubed. Please and thank you. Please and thank you.
Last time I had to bite down on something because it was going in dry.
Eesh.
Long story short,
Vegas,
getting stuck in Death Valley and Las Vegas, actually one of the best parts of the trip. Because we're not going to get into too much of it. Maybe we'll get into it next time I have you on. But
another life lesson is when you think that it is the worst that it can be, it's probably not. And
you should probably just buckle up.
It's a lesson in being grateful. Even when things seem like they're going horribly wrong and like, oh my God, how could it get any worse? Just be grateful right then and there in that moment that it hasn't gotten any worse. Because if you're not grateful and you instead just focus on everything that is wrong, it's going to come back to bite you and it might go even farther south. But
yep. It might take you months. It might take you months to figure out the situation.
Thousands of dollars.
Maybe even another trip.
But anyways, so
we'll get into that next time.
So long story short, we go back the next day. Van cannot be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We spent 8 hours at that dealership.
Yeah, we hung around the dealership all day. They checked it out, tried to get me to buy a new van.
Yeah.
That pissed me off because I was crying.
Yeah, they were trying to sell you on some shit.
Yeah. Had to spend an extra $700. I paid him for like basically looking at the van, the labor of that, and trying to figure out what was wrong with it. I did, on the bright side, I did find out that I had an oil leak from that visit that I didn't know about. Still have to get that fixed. They wanted $3,000 to fix the van. They just couldn't because they didn't have a spindle for it, and so I had to leave the old girl out there. Paid another $700 to get a rental car to come back home, and there she stayed for a little while till I got her back.
Well, let's talk about how the odds were stacked against us that whole day. And I remember, I think Dad called and he was like, "Oh, just leave it out there. Like, just leave it." And I feel bad because I know I pissed him off, but like he pissed me off in that situation too. So it's like kind of fair. But I remember being like, no, we're not leaving this shit out here. We're taking it back with us. This bitch has been through some shit. I said, this bitch has been through some shit and she will survive. And what did we do? What did you do? I didn't do anything after that. But what did you do? You got that fucking hoe towed all the way back here.
Yeah.
I can't believe it, man.
Yeah.
I was so happy to see the pictures and videos of that thing coming home.
It cost me so much more than I ever originally paid for the van to get it back here, but...
Did it cost you more than it would have costed to fix it?
No, but it was very close.
Very
we were
close.
about $500 off, yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. Oh, I cleared my entire savings out to bring that van back.
Yeah.
I couldn't freaking leave it out there, man. I was like, I put so much work into it, and that was the first trip in it. Like, I had just started. I have so many more plans for it, and I put so much work into it. Like, that literally became like my dream, and I was like, I felt like I was far more emotional over this van than I should have been. But I literally was like, if I leave this out here, like, I'm just letting my dreams die.
No, I mean, you're honestly.
And yeah, it was a hard time. I wasn't prepared to deal with that at the time.
Right.
You know,
that was a tough time.
It really taught me, like, it put things in perspective for me. Honestly, that van saved our life.
It did.
So we rolled to a stop on the side of the interstate and the van sat, you know, then it got pulled up onto this tow truck, towed to this dealership in Vegas. They backed it back off, pulled it in the shop to look at it, and then, like, in this parking lot of this dealership, the wheel completely fell off the van.
Didn't one of the mechanics, he was like, "I'm not driving that thing"?
Yeah, they were afraid to pull it in because the wheel was the wheel bearing was off. Basically, what happened was the wheel bearing blew, and then in the time it took us to stop, it just messed up a bunch of stuff on the front end, like just broke it,
like the brakes,
everything. Yeah, it just because it was like wobbly, you know, just going down. It just tore it all up. So the wheel literally looked like it was gonna fall off, and the guy was like, "I don't want to drive it in there." And in the process of like moving it around, the wheel completely fell off. So that tells you how close it was by the time we got stopped. Like, if that wheel had fallen off while we were going like that speed, like, we probably would have died.
It would have been chaos.
And
we would have slowed down a lot faster.
That's honestly how I kept myself. Like, it was a bad day, especially when I figured out we couldn't fix it. We were gonna have to leave it there. Like, it was a really rough time in my head. You know, it was a very shitty end to the trip. But I kept on. How I put it in perspective for myself to not just like completely lose my shit was like, I was like, look at me, like, right now, like, upset that I have to leave my van out here, upset that I just spent so much money, like, trying to get it looked at, rental car, all of this, you know, just it was a lot of money, stress, and then it was like, you know, I've got to leave this out here. I don't know how I'm gonna get it back. Like, that's a whole problem. But I was like, I have everybody right now. Like, we're fine.
Yeah.
I'm just spending a lot of money, like, which I will get back at some point. Like, it will come back. Money comes back. But I was like, it could have, like, one thing could have changed. That wheel could have fallen off, like, sooner than it did.
Yeah.
And I could literally be going home, like, without my brother.
Yeah.
Like, and having to go back to my parents. And, like, with, you know, like, that's, like, I was like, how am I upset right now?
Yeah.
Like,
it's just money.
You know, like, comparatively to having that and just being like, oh man, my van, like, that having to, like, force myself to think that, like, it's probably morbid, but, like, I do that a lot in situations. Like, just think of the worst and put it up against whatever you're dealing with, and it's like, it's not that bad.
I do that shit all the
time. Like,
I think it's kind of like a superpower in a way.
Everyone always tells me that it's super morbid, but
it's not super morbid though. Like, I get the same reactions because I feel like we're very similar, but like, you know me. I used to work with you. and I used to complain a lot.
Yeah.
I used to be known as the complainer of the grocery store, and I was like, I don't even understand why everybody's making fun of me for complaining and shit. Like, this shit sucks. And I look back on it now, and I'm like, what was I even complaining about? Like, hours?
You're complaining about because your job's so easy, it's boring.
Yeah. That's what I was fucking complaining about. And, like, you think back on that, and it's like, dude, everyone was still alive at that time. And you were wasting your time complaining about shit. Like, you wasted many weeks, months working with your sister, like having a good time, just complaining about like having to clean the floors and I gotta wash the windows. Shut up.
Yeah.
Hey, 2019 Carter, shut the fuck up. You're a bitch. Like, you just wait, you know?
Yeah.
And I fall into the same kind of shit where when I get into like a financial situation where it's like not even like it's going to take all my money, but like it's just going to take a lot. I start like when my car shit the bed. I was like, "Oh my god, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Like what am I how can I pay for this? How am I going to afford it?" Because it was at the time that I was dealing with a lot of other financial shit because of something else. And I was like, this is all just too much. Like, I can't believe this. Like, and I look back on it now and everything is sorted out.
Yeah.
Like,
it has a way of that.
Well, and it kind of teaches me in a way because there's things you cannot control. And I all I can do is sit here and wait until it happens. So I'm just going to keep living my life and doing me. And as soon as I started to do that, it was like, good news would roll in on this side, you know? And then good news. And then all of a sudden, boom, whole situation's over with. And that.
Yeah.
And I was like, all of that was for nothing. And I think it's important because in those moments of thinking, holy shit, all of that was for nothing is where you grow the most. Because you look at it and you go, well, I'll remember this next time when I'm in a big situation like this. I'll remember that in the end, it will all be for nothing. All your worries and your anxieties and your stress, it's all mute. It's all pointless.
Yeah.
And it breaks my heart in a way that not more people realize that, because it's like eventually everything either always gets worse or it gets resolved. You know what I mean? Either the situations you go through get resolved in like a decent, timely manner, or something way worse happens that makes you kind of check that reality where you're like, this doesn't fucking matter at all, you know?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of situations like that in my life, but I don't know. I just think it's important. I think it's important to I don't think it's morbid is what I should say. I don't think it's like, I don't agree that with the people that like look down on it just because like, I don't know. I guess they feel like apprehensive to be that way because they think they're going to like jinx themselves.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I don't want to bring any bad luck or like bad omens to me. But it's like, you're not doing that.
Thinking about, I mean, unless you're talking about like manifesting things, like I just like to think of it as like I like mentally prepare myself for bad things.
Yeah.
And like how I will react to them so that if that happens, like I'm already kind of like ready for it. But I also use that on the flip side. I use that to put shit in perspective like that.
Yeah.
You know, a van breaking is nothing compared to my brother dying.
Right.
Or, you know.
I don't know. It's because it's a tough thing because you do see people who are like, oh my God, that's morbid. That's extreme. That's dark. And you're like, no, but it is extreme. Like life is extreme.
Sometimes when you're down that low in your mind, you have to use extreme things to pull yourself back up out of it.
Yeah, because you're going through something that's pretty semi-extreme.
Yeah, that's like the worst that I had dealt with.
So you're like, you know,
I've never dealt with a sibling dying. So
right.
In my mind, you know, having to shell out a bunch of money for this van and like all of this, it's just disappointment. Really, it was just like this massive weight of disappointment. And,
well, it was that, and it was defeat.
Yeah.
It was like you felt like you'd put all this time and this work into something and it just shit out on you.
Right
you
at
know?
the end, yeah.
So it is heartbreaking, but at the same time, you can't let your entire heart be broken by something like that, you know? You have to keep those reality checks in place for times like that, because it's like when you think about that is when you go, well, okay, well, I'm thinking about this is it's, you know, it's not that bad. Like, and that's when you start thinking of solutions, which is from an outsider's perspective, I wasn't dealing with any of the financial or anything like that. It wasn't like that. So all I was doing was sitting there brainstorming, trying to think of fucking solutions that we could do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could get a rental car. Like, I don't care how much it costs. Like, if, you know, no matter what is going on, there's always a way out of it.
Yeah.
There's always a solution. And to get so caught up with like the negatives of the situation that you're in, it doesn't let you always find those solutions because your mind is so clouded with stress and bullshit like that.
Well, if you took all of the mental space that's being taken up by either being angry or worried or whatever about just being pissy about a bad situation, and you like think of how much like time you waste just thinking about how bad it is, how bad the situation you're in. You're so, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is so shitty. If you took all of that and put it towards like, all right, this sucks, I want out of it as soon as possible, how can I start doing that?
How can I get it done so efficiently?
Most of the time stuff that you're worried about, stuff that you're worrying about, actively worrying about, or you're like angry about, is out of your control anyways.
Right.
If you think about most things, think back of like all of the stuff that you've been like worried about or pissed off about in the past like week. Probably not much of it you can control.
Yeah.
So
why bother?
Don't spend the mental energy on it. Like,
right.
Yeah.
That's
the only thing in all of those instances that you can actually control is the way you're reacting to it. And that's the only thing that you're not worried about at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
I don't know. I learned a lot of lessons like that, or like began to start learning lessons like that. Like that shitty time is what triggered a lot of that. And since then it's just been a snowball effect for the past 6 months of just building on top of that, you know? So I'm honestly like, I wouldn't say I'm thankful that happened, but
I am.
I'm not sorry that it did.
From my perspective, I definitely am. I know it was very financially burdening on you, but I mean,
I learned a lot from that too.
Even that, you look back on that now, it's really not anymore.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We're back to normal. You know,
better, honestly, better than normal.
Right.
Because having to go through that, like financially, taught me things that I had forgotten.
Yeah.
All of it, every single thing from that experience taught me stuff that I needed to know, I needed to learn, and I probably would not have learned until like that slapped me in the face. Like, yeah, I
agree.
Sometimes you can't get out of the way of your own bullshit and learn these lessons until something moves you out of the way of your own bullshit.
Yeah, or it
by
just
force.
Moves your bullshit out of the way, and it's like, listen, you gotta step up here. So, kind of going off of the learning lessons and always, keeping your eyes and I guess your heart, eyes, your brain, your heart, all open to the things going on around you. I've noticed in the last 2 weeks is especially fucking important because work's been pretty mediocre. There's good days and there's bad days, but like I've grown so much at work where like the bad days nowadays, I feel like they don't even affect me because one, I don't ever take work home with me.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm gone from that job, I'm gone. Yeah. I'm not there anymore.
That's super important.
And over the past 2 weeks, I'd say I've been in a situation where I could have definitely died 7 times.
Damn.
Like moments where I've looked at in the past, thinking back to them and gone, that could have been it. That could have been a bad situation. And it's kind of made me look at life in a whole different light just the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Because like, even though the days might not have been good and like bad things might have happened on them, there were still moments where I could look at it and go, well, yeah, I mean, I could be dead right now and I'm not, which means tomorrow I have another chance to be better than I was today,
Mm-hmm.
And moments like I'm talking about, like we were coming back from a job on the interstate And luckily I was paying enough of attention to see that there was a pile up in front of us on coming up towards like Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
And we were the third car there, and like maybe 5 or 6 cars got through the accident before they like shut the whole interstate down.
Wow.
And I was like, holy fuck, if we had been a minute later or a minute sooner, we would have either been stuck in traffic for fucking 3 hours, or we could have been in that accident.
Oh, so you just slowly drove through it?
Yeah. I mean, I was driving on the grass median on the middle. It was 2 tractor trailers and 2 pickup trucks.
Wow.
That had gotten like mangled together. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, you're looking at debris all over the road and like people with like cuts and shit on their heads, like calling people and stuff. And you're like, I was seconds away from being in this.
Yeah.
Like, you think about, you know, the little notes, field notes or whatever I took at the job like minutes before we left and stuff like that. And you're like, holy fuck, everything comes down to like a second.
Yeah.
And like, so
like the second you took to respond to a text or send a Snapchat.
Just the mere decision
that made you 60 seconds later finishing your work.
Right.
Yeah.
A red light you could have caught on the way back, or a stop sign.
Everything happens for a reason.
Oh my God, yeah. And it's kind of opened my eyes to that in a way, because the same day I got in my car and I was leaving work and I was like, wow, what a crazy day. And Jeep almost cuts me off. Like he like starts moving over into my lane, like almost, you know, that's not going to kill me, but it's going to fuck my car up and put me in one of those situations where it's going to stress me out a bunch. And so I was like, holy shit, like what is going on right now? And then as I was looking back at that Jeep, because I was like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, Jesus, like stay in your lane, dog, you know? Mm-hmm. I look back forward and there's an identical white Jeep to the one that just almost crushed me, that just wheels its ass out of this parking lot and just straight in front of me, like just pulls out on the road, just right in front of me. Like I had to slam on my brakes and swerve to get around him. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening? Like, I just need to get home right now. And on my way home on the interstate from my work to my house, a tractor trailer had run over like a dead deer that was in the road. And there was a Tacoma behind me in the right lane. And like, as this tractor trailer goes over this deer, he doesn't see it. So at the last minute, he decides, I'm going to try and get a swerve around the deer. This motherfucker, I mean, I tell you, he's right behind me. Like, not like changing lanes to go around it, you know? Like, he was like, argh! And I'm like, dude, if you had hit the back of me, like, I would have been, you know?
Yeah.
It's like all 4 of those things happened in one day. And I'm like driving home with the biggest smile on my face, like listening to like happy music. Megan's like, what, you know, what's going on? I'm like, you wouldn't believe this shit if I told you. You're like,
I'm just happy to be alive right now.
I'm literally just blessed to fucking be here.
Yeah.
And it's like, it sounds so dumb because like people say that shit all the time. Like, oh my God, I'm so blessed. But like, you really are. Like, there's so many moments in my life that I can look back on and be like, I could have died right then. Could have died for sure. There's so many times traveling for work and stuff, like on the interstate. I've seen so much shit. It's like, oh my God.
People die every day, like expecting to just have another day of work tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like all the time.
And like for
they never think it's gonna be them. Like
right. Which I also never do until moments like that happen. I'm like, oh fuck, it could be me.
Yeah.
You know, so you better gotta be careful. Tell people you love them, man. Fuck.
Yeah.
But it's wild. It's wild to see those things, and I feel like in a lot of those situations, people will see something like that or get cut off or something like that, and they'll get angry about it. I'm not even angry. I'm just glad I'm still here.
Yeah.
Which is like,
because like chances
really
are
nice.
They didn't mean to do it. Like
right, exactly. It's like they didn't know I was here or whatever. It's like, yeah, it's all just, I don't know. I'm not gonna say it's chance, but it's like it's all just happening around us. Yeah. Stuff is happening around us, and like I was pumping gas today. And it was like, don't use, like, touch your car, like, you know, before you...
Static.
Yeah, static and shit like that. And I was sitting there because this pump was broken. So I had to sit there and hold it the whole time, which was pissing me off. And I was like, sitting there because I had to sit there. I was
Yeah.
reading this fucking thing that's on the side of the gas pump. And it's like, if you like shuffle your feet on the ground 10 times too fast and like touch this shit, like the whole place could go up. And you're like, God, I never do that. Like I was thinking about it. I was like, I've gotten out of my car and like shocked myself on something, not the car, but like I didn't know you were supposed to do that. Like there's just things you don't know. And I was sitting there and I was like, what if one day I just get out and I'm like electrically charged and I go to put my fucking gas in and I just blow up? Like, cause all the gas ignites at once and I'm just gone because I fucking didn't touch my car.
Forgot to touch your car.
It's crazy. Shit like that. Like, you never know, man. You never know.
Yeah.
Life is very precious in all aspects because you really don't know when could be your last time.
No. Yeah. When you put shit in like to that perspective, like you literally are just gifted. Every day that you have to wake up, every fucking Monday that you're like, oh, Monday. It's another day that you're alive.
Yeah.
It just happens to be the first day you have to go to work for the week.
You don't have to go to work. You get to go to work.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of people out there who I think about this shit a lot too. There's a lot of people who have to get up and like get in a wheelchair and go to work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm sitting there in my bed at like 6:30 in the morning, like, oh, I don't want to stand up. And I was like, you better fucking stand your ass up out of this bed and go to work because there's somebody right now wishing they could do that.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like that's like it's almost like the key to like life, you know, is putting yourself in other people's shoes and like thinking about what other people go through. Kind of the whole point of this podcast, you know? Mm-hmm. But I think it's important. I think it's definitely very important to remember that it could always be worse. And if you don't like to think about ways it could be worse because it makes you anxious or it makes you worried about what's going to happen, don't worry about it. Because you're not saying, oh, well, this is going to happen. Because that's the common misconception, I feel like. That's what when people say, you know, oh, that's dark, or like, oh, that's, you know, stuff like what people tell you.
You have to it has to be a combination of one, like, that doesn't necessarily work for everybody. Like, you don't have to like sit there and think of the worst case scenario and be like, at least this isn't happening. But you at the very least either need to do that or just sit there and just be fucking grateful for everything that you have right now.
Yeah.
The easiest way for me to do that just happens to be thinking of everything that I couldn't have.
Right.
Instantly brings you back to being grateful for what you do have, but you don't have to do that. You can just be like, I'm so, have you been seeing Mike Posner's Instagram post where he just makes lists of just all kinds of stuff he's grateful for?
Yeah.
Like my hands.
Yeah.
Can you imagine not having hands?
Yeah. I mean,
and how you would just wish and we just take it for granted. I just go grab this cup right here and pull out my phone, my phone
Text.
that I'm just privileged to have. Yeah, like
with your thumbs, you
all
know?
kinds. Like we have it so, even on my worst day, I can't really think back to a specific day, but my worst day, I still have had it so good, you know? Like,
yeah. It almost makes you feel guilty for those days that you wasted sitting there, you know, being sad about something that doesn't, you know, because I'll be honest, like there's things in my life that I've gone through that have torn me up and some that still do tear me up.
Different bad situations affect you differently. Like if you're like in a situation that has gone financially south, or you're in a situation that's gone emotionally south, like there's different recovery rates for both of those, you know?
Right. And different recovery rates depending on the person as well.
Money comes back faster than mental health is restored.
That is
so
definitely true.
So,
but
just because there's things, I mean, if there's things that you like still find yourself getting upset over, like that doesn't mean that you're doing bad.
Yeah.
It just, if you can focus in on points that you feel like you're not over, that just shows you, that just like highlights where the work needs to be done. Yeah.
This has been fun.
Yeah.
It's been very fun. I'm very grateful. I'm grateful that you came to do this with me. I'm grateful that I now have an hour and 35 minutes of conversation,
Yeah.
recorded. I'm not, I won't forget this. I'll always have it.
Yeah.
That's something that I like to do. I mean, it's something that I'm passionate about, I guess I could say.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I actually want to do because I feel like conversations like this, and I know, I'll get better at them with time. I'll get better at talking about stuff like this, but it's like, I feel like I don't want to teach anybody anything or anything like that. I just want people to know things that I know.
You just want to like learn, have them learn alongside you.
I just want to share knowledge,
Yeah.
because I don't know everything, but I know what I know, and I know what has worked for me and what stuff like that,
What you wish you had known like
yeah.
a year ago, 2 years ago.
Something I'd say is probably my favorite part about you is that no matter really what I'm doing or where I'm doing it, you've always been super supportive. Like whether it's going to shoot basketball or something like simple like that, or hey, I'm going to try and start my own podcast and do this shit on my own, like really try to get into it. Do you want to be a guest? You're like, hell yeah. You're right there.
Yeah.
And I like this. I like that we started talking about taking things for granted and stuff, because there is stuff that I take for granted. Even, we have a very good relationship.
Yeah.
And even in our relationship, I take things for granted,
Yeah.
because you and I are siblings, but you're also like one of the best friends I've ever had. And that's like very different to me in a way, where it's like I have my sibling, but I also have like my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I forget that we're siblings,
Yeah.
because we're just like having that good of a time. Like, and I can say that about all my siblings. Like,
Yeah.
I guess it's because I'm the baby, but ever since like I guess I was the last one to grow up, and like now that we're all grown up, like we all get along so well
Yeah.
now. Like
We're more friends than siblings, honestly.
we really are. Like having an older brother like Jackson is like non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't always that nice to me, and I remember, I mean, he was nice to me. He was usually nice to me, but like there were times where like, he's grown up, like he's 18 years old, and I'm still like, oh, her 12 or whatever. He fucking
Yeah.
not, dumb little brother.
Yeah.
And like I remember when he moved out, I was like super fucking depressed. Like not depressed because I was young.
Yeah.
Didn't know what that was at the time, but like I was
Just
sad. I was sad because I was like, oh my God, I don't know what to do now. Like I don't have my brother with me anymore. Like who's going to play with me in the dirt box, like,
yeah.
and then like growing up, it almost felt like mom would like almost drop me off at his house and like, oh yeah, go see Jackson for a while. But then like we just started like hanging out and
Yeah.
stuff. And now we just like hang out at each other's house. He's not here right now, but
Yeah.
I'm very, very appreciative of all of you guys. But I'm going to say a little bit more appreciative of you from the past year or so, 2 years, year and a half,
Yeah.
because you saw me as not just the little brother that tags along and shit. Like you sought me out and you put in the effort to come and get me, like find me and be like, hey, do you want to come do this with me?
Yeah.
And that's something I probably would never do if I wasn't pushed to do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like just giving some credit to the fact, like basically who I am today,
Yeah.
I'm not saying you're the only person that has made me who I am today, but I'm
Yeah.
saying if it hadn't been for you, I would be a much, much different person right now.
Yeah.
Might not even be here, to be honest.
Yeah.
Or is that too morbid for you guys?
No, I tell people all the time that like you're my best friend.
Yeah, it's
funny.
wild.
The reactions that people give you when you say that, because they just fight with their siblings, I guess. I don't know, like, but yeah, no, like I give a lot of credit to being who I am today to you, because like you're the one that showed me Mike Posner, which is like had a huge impact on me.
Yeah.
Even not when you first showed it to me. I remember when you first showed me Keep Going, the album. I was like, this is like stupid music. I was in the depths of just wanting to listen to my sad music all the time. Like that's all I wanted to do.
And I had just gotten out of it.
It just made me feel like,
wait, no, I didn't. That was before.
Like just, I don't know. I just didn't want to listen to music that might make me feel better, because then I wouldn't be sad and comfortable in my sadness, you know? And
I know how you feel.
And that was like the first little just drop in the bucket. And then, I don't know. You and I are just very, very similar, like mentally, I think.
Yeah. I think it was, yeah.
I tell Mom all the time that you and I were destined to become twins. That we
Pretty
should have been
much.
twins, and you just got hung up in the fallopian tube a little bit.
Yeah. The umbilical cord
like
wrapped around my
our
neck.
souls were destined to be twins, and you just got like you just got sidetracked up there.
Yeah.
For a
It was
little
just
while.
hanging out for a few years.
Yeah. No, everything like the social anxiety, like there's so much about us, like our personalities and our mindsets and stuff that is so parallel, like it's wild. But no, you're my best friend too.
I agree.
Literally one of the most genuine people I know.
I try, man. I try because I don't know why. I don't. You know, it's not that I don't know how to be anything else. It's just like I don't know why I would be.
Yeah.
You know, small talk is a big thing.
Yeah.
They'll be like, "How are you doing?" They're like, "I'm great today," and they're not great.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna, walk up to a motherfucker at 7-Eleven and be like, "I'm shitty today. How are you?" I'm gonna be like, I've had better days. But it's just like, why not be genuine?
Yeah.
Like, same thing we were just talking about the whole time just now. It's like, life is short. I could have died any time today.
Yeah. Like, I'm great.
Like, I'm fantastic. How are you?
Yeah.
Please tell me about your day, Like, you just can't, I don't know. You can't get hung up on little shit people say, even though I do. I'm getting better at it, but I do. And
no,
I try.
I don't want you to ever think that me first initially being like, yo, come to California with me was ever because like, oh man, I feel bad for Carter because he just went through a breakup and he's sad. Is literally just because like I want you to come with me. Like I want your company on these trips. One, because I like to spend time with you and I like your company, and two, because like I see stuff like that and I'm like, man, I wish I could show this to Carter.
Yeah.
Like, and Snapchats do not do it justice.
No, they do not. They don't. I remember seeing the pictures and the videos from when you first went out.
I remember when I went out by myself. I remember when I first saw the ocean. It was on the south side of LA, down in like Huntington Beach. It was cloudy and just kind of like, ick. And I was driving through, and I remember you sent like a snap to like, I think you had chatted like the family group chat, and you were like, dude, please, for the love of God, please play what, I don't remember what song it was.
California Love by Tupac.
Yes, that. You were like, please play that and give me a video, and I played it. Like,
I remember the video. I still remember it.
Yeah, I played it. It was like for Carter, and
I remember,
and I played it right as I left Cali. I was coming back home, and the sun was going down. I was leaving California, about to go into somewhere else, Arizona probably.
Yeah.
And
south.
somewhere on the way, somewhere east, and I like played it one more time, like just for I was like, I had not listened to the song maybe but like once or twice before. I was like, I don't really care about this, and I was like, no, I played it just for. I feel like you said that, like, please play this for me, like thinking like I'll never see that myself.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, because I was like, I need to feel this vibe, and I can't go with you. And I also remember you got me a fucking Modelo bottle filled with sand. I still have that too.
Yeah.
Because I literally thought I'd never see West Coast sand.
Yeah.
And now
it's funny.
No offense, it sits in my closet because I'm like, holy shit, I've seen it.
Yeah. Why do you need that?
I don't need to see it every day,
Yeah.
I had it up on my dresser, and I was like, yeah, that's Pacific sand right there. And you're like, now I'm like, yeah, I've walked on that shit.
Yeah.
I've held it in my hand,
Yeah.
I saw a Snapchat story from somebody in LA the other day, and they were sitting at the exact spot on the beach down below the pier to the right where we were taking those videos that one night, and I was like, holy fuck. Like I have been to that spot in the world, that exact spot.
Yeah.
That is fucking
wild.
crazy to me,
Yeah.
But I have one last question.
Mm-hmm.
One last question before we go, and then I'll hit y'all with a fucking quote. What is it like to be the older sister of me? Like growing up, what was it like?
Growing up?
You think I was a little bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like
It's a lot different than it was now.
I'm not gonna say you've always been my favorite sibling. Sorry, Kelly and Jackson, but like you and I have just always like connected differently.
Yeah.
But like you were pretty annoying for a while, and
I think there was
kind
a
of a
couple
little-
times you almost killed me.
kind of a little bitch boy.
Yeah.
But still, like you. I mean, I don't have a lot of like solid memories
Me
like
neither.
from those days,
That's why I asked.
like bits and pieces. But I just like I remember you just being hilarious. Like
Really?
like when I think of young Carter, it was just funny. Yeah. I remember you making mom laugh so hard while we were downstairs doing school that she got like pissed off, and I think probably ended up giving you a spanking.
Yeah.
Because you were just being so fucking funny. Like,
Yeah.
dang, la fondant. Like,
That's
just over
exactly
and
what I was
over and
thinking
over.
about.
Like, I think that's the time.
Yeah.
And like, so freaking funny. I don't know, man. And I just remember, I don't know. You were, I don't say a little bitch, but you were just scared. You were scared to do like anything.
Yeah.
You're scared to literally step out of like your like tiny little inch comfort circle.
Yeah.
And
Like maybe a foot past my feet,
Yeah.
you know?
and then you just I don't know, you started growing and you just stayed funny. It's just you've always been just so freaking funny.
I try, man. It's a
and
blessing. It definitely is.
I don't remember much from like we kind of like lost touch from like
Yeah.
it was probably when I got with
It was when you had gotten married. Yeah.
well before yeah that's just where I
Well,
spent all my time.
Yeah,
so
it was a little bit when you guys had gotten together, but when you guys got married, I was like,
we just kind of did our own thing.
yeah. And I mean, like, that was kind of when I started working with you, so like we got a little closer in that aspect, but
Yeah.
there was a time there where we
I
Yeah.
remember the when you first showed me the Posner song or album, whatever you showed me first. I remember we were at that bridge that's not far from here,
yeah.
and I remember that. I think you were still with what's her face, and I don't.
That was like a year ago yesterday, 2 days ago, I think. I saw the memories from it come up.
A year
Two
ago?
years ago.
2 years ago.
2 or 3. Yeah, not a year ago.
Not a year ago.
I was.
And I
still.
remember that was the first. I don't remember why we were together doing something. I think I was already out at that point, and just like really. Oh yeah, it was 3 years ago. It was 3 years ago for sure. Because I remember. I was 3 years ago was the lowest for me.
Yeah.
Like mentally, like suicidal, and I remember like for whatever reason we hung out that day. And like we like didn't usually do that, and talking to you, I don't know what had shifted for you at that point, but like talking to you that day and like hearing like you were just saying things like you are now, like just like good points that like I had nothing in my life like that at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I had not surrounded myself with anything because I just was like I don't know. And I remember like hearing like having all that conversation with you and just going back and just being like, damn, like. I had no idea that you had that much depth to you. Like we just
Me
hadn't
neither.
talked. We just hadn't talked in like really like spent any like length of time together, just hanging out, doing and like hadn't like had like a real conversation. Like I couldn't remember the last time we had.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, I felt like I like didn't even know you. And I was like, where has this been? Like, and I don't know that day, that conversation, that song that I think you only showed me one song, and you were like, oh, he's got this album, and
I remember the
I
song.
logged the album in my brain, but didn't like actually. I don't think but that like that day, that conversation, whatever, just like planted like a seed.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't do much with it. Like then it took a while for me to like get up enough to.
Takes a while for a seed to grow.
But yeah, dude, that
Sprout,
like
you know.
I will never forget that.
That's pretty cool. I'm very shocked. I don't know. I didn't hear that side of that situation before. I can't believe that what I said like actually resonates with not just you but like anybody.
Yeah.
Like that. You know.
Yeah.
When I talk, it's just like my brain is just like, all right, here you go, just ramble for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it makes okay points, I feel like, you know. I like that feeling
Yeah.
because it feels like I'm actually helping people,
Mhm.
which is what I really want to be doing. You
Yeah.
know, I want to help people through shit. Like I want to be there for them and stuff. But
Yeah.
well, I think that might do it for this episode 2 of the Window to the Soul podcast,
Oh yeah.
where we like to step into other people's shoes and figure out what makes them them. I'm going to leave you guys with a little bit of a quote here at the end. This is a quote by Mike Posner from the Rich Roll podcast. Go listen to it if you haven't already. And the quote is, "The hardest part of the snake bite wasn't getting bit by the snake. The hardest part of the snake bite was getting better from the snake bite."
Absolutely, dude.
And I feel like it goes really well with what we were talking about today, because it's like, it's really not the situation you're in that hurts you the most. You know, it's not the initial sting that hurts. It's the recovery, and it's the moving forward and finding the strength to keep going is one of the hardest parts.
For sure.
And I remember hearing that, and I was like, yo, because of my snake tattoo. Remember? I was like, holy fuck. I just settled it, man. I'm getting this fucking tat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that was very beneficial to share with this one, because it's somebody you and I both adore.
Yeah.
Fucking love Mike Posner, man.
Yeah. Must
He's
protect
great.
him at all costs.
He's great, man. I was worried about him up on Everest.
Yeah.
I was just waiting.
Same.
Like, I was like, holy fucking...
Checking Instagram every day.
That's one of those things where I was like, holy shit, he's actually doing this. Like, he could die.
Yeah.
Like, he could just be gone.
The avalanche that happened.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Well, thanks for letting me be an honored guest.
Of course. You're welcome back anytime. We'll have to schedule another episode, because there is still a lot. There is still a lot on this page that hasn't gotten talked to or talked about yet, I should say. But
cool. Thanks
for listening, everyone. We'll be putting out another podcast next week, most likely. This will probably all get cut out, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting the pod. We'll see y'all later.